ChildFirst has been in existence over 20 years. ChildFirst, I do believe, has 22 houses, and we average from 4 to 7 children per house. I would say the basic average would be around 6.
We receive phone calls from the Department of Human Services. We evaluate the dynamics of that child, and there is no children that we turn down.
ChildFirst makes an impact for a lot of children who don't have a voice. ChildFirst opens doors for a lot of children and their parents. I've met people from other agencies, and what the children get there is far less than what the children receive here at ChildFirst.
There are very few orphans in the foster care system, the child welfare system now. Now, generally, we have a lot of parents that are living and breathing and are available, but they're going through some issues. Sometimes you're dealing with drug addiction, sometimes you're dealing with incarceration. And the major challenge that the system has is we seem to focus on trying to rebuild the child, but they have parents, and again, that's our challenge as a system, is to stop concentrating so much on the children and really concentrate on who the children belong to, because that's a change and a generational shift that the system didn't have before.
He provides the best resources that he can possibly provide for the children, and also helps them to prepare for the next step in life.
I believe the urgency for ChildFirst came from Dr. Williams being a child in foster care and understanding that there's a great need. There's so many children out here that are products of other agencies that just don't care.
It was something that I felt early on that I wanted to do, is to go back to the system and to try to, to offer some supports and services in a different kind of way than I received, and really trying to make it more of a home-like environment, replicating house parents, but again, to recognize that not every child can live with their family, but trying to make this alternate setting as comfortable as we possibly can make it.
A house parent is just like a parent in a regular house. So they're there when they're having a tough day, they're there when they're having a good day. They make sure that their basic needs are met, from making sure that they have food, making sure that they have proper shelter, helping them with homework after school, or providing them with the support that they need to help them in school.
A lot of our children are here due to truancy. They simply wouldn't get up and go to school. On top of that, you have what's considered medical neglect, and that usually comes along with our diabetic children or children that have severe medical needs. We unfortunately also have children that are here due to sex trafficking.
My name is Talia Eubanks. I'm 20. I was taken from my biological family, and I was in a series of foster homes up until the time I was, I think, 6. I was in a failed adoption. I was in 2 in total, but then I was in another failed adoption when I was 15.
Talia was actually one of our sex trafficking victims. She's not a victim now, but she was a victim. She answered an ad for what seemed to be some quick money. It no way said what it actually was.
I got a message on Facebook, and I was young. I was 15 at the time. And then, they were asking me questions about am I being comfortable with my body and do I want to make money? And I was looking for a job, but it seemed like an easy way. So I kind of got caught up in that.
When she got to the location, she discovered it was way much more than what it appeared to be. She fortunately was saved by our members of the FBI, and she was brought into ChildFirst Services.
My name is Charles Edward Warren Jr., and I'm 21 years old. I remember my mom and dad had just stopped talking or whatever, and from there I haven't seen my dad until I was about 14 years old. September 2009, me and my mom got into an argument. We got into a fight, and I got arrested for that. They charged me for simple assault as a juvenile. I was 14 years old. I went to the detention center for a day, and my mom came and got me. I was on probation. I started getting high, being in the neighborhood with the wrong people, and I violated probation. I went to placement in 2010, came home 2011, and I stopped going to school, started getting high again, selling drugs, robbing people, doing all types of things. And I got locked back up. I went to a group home this time, and it was ChildFirst Services. This was June 2012.
My name is Yasmin Washington, and I'm 20 years old. I lived with my mom up until I was 16 years old, and that year my dad and my mom, they were going through a custody battle with me and my other two siblings. I saw my dad on birthdays or holidays. We didn't really have a relationship. So he showed up to my school and he came and he picked me up, and I thought we were going to court. But when I saw the bridge, I was like thinking like, well, where are we going? And he said that me and Philadelphia was about to become divorced. And he took me to Delaware, and for the next 6 months, I literally was like stuck in the house with my dad. I would go to school. I couldn't go see my family. I couldn't see my siblings who I've grown up with all my life.
When things got a little out of sorts, we'll say, too much for Dad, he returned her to Philadelphia and dropped her off at the Department of Human Services. They placed a call to her mother, and her mother refused to leave work to pick her up.
When Talia came to ChildFirst, things were a little rough at the beginning, getting used to being in a group home and such, but she has done an excellent job of just getting everything back in order for herself.
When I first got there, I had a few house parents, but one really stuck out to me. Her name was Jackie Porter, but we referred to her as Aunt Jackie. She was an example of how a mother figure should, or a mother should be, so that I took a lot from that.
Talia was actually at ChildFirst before I met her. So when I met her, she was already here. She went from being really quiet to a little more outgoing. She likes to learn, but she was a little nervous. So where she'd get overwhelmed, sometimes she'd get really quiet, but she was really reserved. And as I got to know her, I understood why. Once Talia became really driven in what she wanted to do, which was to be a veterinarian, she opened up more, she started to talk more. I believe that she started to trust more. The more she got into what it was that she really wanted to do, the more engaged and the more focused she became in her schoolwork, and her grades did start to improve.
ChildFirst offers a volunteer program where children can volunteer at any place that they would like to. Once they volunteer there, instead of getting paid from that company or that clinic or whatever it may be, they get paid through ChildFirst.
And from their earnings, 60% of that goes into a savings account that ChildFirst sets up for them, so they're allowed to earn interest. The other 40%, as long as it's not over $100, the child actually gets to keep and spend that money on their own. When they leave ChildFirst, all of the money that they've accumulated and saved in their savings account is sent to them in the form of a check.
You go in with a bad situation, and I feel like they help make the best of it. I attend Northampton Community College, and I don't think I would have gotten that at home or at any other facility. Now I have money saved up for when I do age out and leave, so little things like that is definitely going to help, and I'm just now starting to realize that.
We have wonderful relationships with a lot of our parents. We have some parents that are very involved in their children's lives, and sadly to say, we have some parents that aren't involved at all.
Not all children need trauma therapy. We try to make sure that we find the best program for them, and then once they have a little bit of time with their individual therapist, then family therapy kicks in, so that this way they can learn how to relate to their parent.
Yasmin and her mom had some challenges.
They would mediate situations. Like, I would get upset at my mom sometimes. Like, she'll be like, you're not going home. And Aunt Jackie would have to, mediate the situation. Like, calm down, let your mom talk, things like that. And it really helped us, because now we could do that on our own. We don't need anybody to mediate the situation. And now that we went through therapy, she's able to say, I love you, and I'm proud of you, and give me a hug. And, so we're working on our relationship. It took time, but it was well worth it.
There's so many children that need a chance. ChildFirst provides several chances. We have children that have some really serious stories and some serious issues, and in their truth, it's a lot to deal with.
I took advantage of ChildFirst. It's a good program. They take care of you, clothe you, feed you, nice house, nice room. It was just my actions, the things I was doing, bringing girls in the house, smoking, getting high. It just wasn't acceptable. Like, I'm not in the program no more. I've been out the program for about 4 years, 4 years, so. And look at, I work for them now. It's more than just a job. Like, they help me with my attitude, they teaching me etiquette. When you go to Child First, once you're in there, you're gonna stay in there. Dr. Williams actually emailed me not too long ago. He told me I have a special place in his heart. Don't mess it up.
There are children that have been to Child First, left, and come back to Child First on more than one occasion, and Child First provides that chance. Dr. Williams has to be the most compassionate man I've ever met. It's something you don't see, especially from a CEO. He cares. He cares. He cares sometimes more than he should, more than we think he should. But he's a man on a mission in the ministry with a purpose.
At other group homes, you never see the founder, you never see the owner, you never see who runs the place, you just see the staff. But him, when I first got here, he would like come sit in the group home, like eat a meal with us, talk to us, take us out. We could call him directly and he would answer the phone. So when it's Child First, it really is Child First. Like, we do come first in his eyes.
I see growth within every child that we encounter. And I'm not going to say that we don't reach any challenges. We do, but we weather the storm and we get through it, and you see the product afterwards.
There's a misconception that Child First just wants to have the kids live somewhere rich. The kids are very well taken care of here, don't get me wrong, but there's an underlying of what you can do, the possibilities of what you can do.
What I tell people when they ask me, how can you help Child First? I let them know Child First is doing okay. It's the neighbor across the street that has to work and is a single parent and leaves their child home at nighttime until 9 o'clock. You need to look across the street and to help that young person.
If you see that there's snow in the front of their house and you know that they're elderly, or maybe they have a disability or something, go over, do what it is that you need to do as a neighbor to help out. And the children see that. And that's a habit, and that's something that we want to teach them also too, to share what it is that they're learning here.
To be a part of something so phenomenal and so important in today's world, where there literally are children being killed on the streets. But if you could hold one that was involved in sex trafficking, to watch the kid that nobody said would graduate, and watch them walk across the stage for graduation, to have them call you and say, I made it. Those things are the things that I think people take for granted. We as adults have an ultimate responsibility to care for our children. I think we need to get back to caring for our children, and Child First does that.